Living every day in your head for free. You can tap away, but I will not hear you scream. You can break your keys, spread your toxicity, your world outside reality. In your room, a little hideaway, but you let it through. Enough to go insane. Living in the dark hasn't treated you well. You're building your own prison cell. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, life's telling you, don't waste it on me. Did I brush you off? Is it your lack of friends? We never met, even if you pretend. Am I in your debt? I don't owe you nothing. Don't say something you'll regret. Hey, wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, life's telling you, don't waste it on me. Hate, rage, don't waste it on me. Spite, life's telling you, don't waste it on me. Wait, don't waste it on me. Spite, life's telling you, don't waste it. I'm telling you, don't waste it. Life's telling you, don't waste it on me. Maybe I'm a little young, but you don't know what I've become. Can't you see it in my face? But even living in disguise, but you can see the killer in my eyes. I've got a look you can't escape.
Hey, I'm still alive. What do you say? Yeah, I apologize for yesterday. But sometimes my RA just gets the best of me, and I just can't do it. But I was very tickled to see Zadie step up, and I think she did a wonderful job yesterday. She did say it was just way too early for her. And well, I understand that. She does keep a little bit later hours than me. And so I understand. Amber Chick, I am feeling a lot better today. My hands aren't quite as swollen and stiff. My joints aren't aching everywhere. And so I woke up, feeling pretty good this morning. So I think today hopefully is going to be a good day. Because I've got a lot to do today. Not just work. Work is always going to be there. It's always going to be this pound of crap I have to deal with. But just in just side of the my life, right? We've got the stream this morning, which I'm really excited to be able to do, and I feel up to it and what have you. But tonight we're going to have a stream over on the Clears Mud podcast. We've got some really interesting subjects and topics to talk about that I'm looking forward to. We'll be going live over there at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard this evening. So really looking forward to that. Like I said, we've got some, I don't want to let no cats out of the bags or anything like that, but we've got some really interesting topics to discuss. I'm also working on a story that's probably going to wind up on like one of my Saturday streams. I don't know if I'll get it all put together by this Saturday or not. But you guys really seem to like when I was talking, and we kind of went back in history last week. Was talking about that young lady and what happened to her. I actually have a little bit more information on her, but I've got a whole nother story that happened actually in while I was alive, and it's even crazier. It's so crazy. But it's another one of these cold crime stories, and it's out of Arkansas, no less. So, hmm. But anyway, so we're going to kind of do a what do you call it? Find your path, decide your path stream this morning. I've got some things that I want to talk about, and then I'm going to kind of put it to you on which way you want to go, right? So, anyway, so let's take a look and see what we got going so far. So the first thing is a couple of goldfish here. He says it's no use whistling. I can see the bubbles coming out your bottom. Well, how about your butt? Coming out your butt, right? So Leo's over here. He's got a little gas and stuff, and so he's got a little air bubbles going. Oh, I thought it was funny. I don't know. I don't know. So we talked about these headphones not too long ago, right? They're like $1,000. They're put out by Dyson, which is noted. Dyson is noted for their vacuum cleaners and stuff, right? The Dyson ball and so on and so forth, right? So this tech reviewer, Marquise Brownlee, he did a review on it, right? And so he says he blasts it, says nobody should buy these things. He recently uploaded the product review focusing on this Dyson headphones, right, which is not only a wireless headset but also they have that had that built-in air purifier. Remember the little thing here? The purifier has a little disc that you can replace. He said he says he named it the dumbest product he's ever reviewed. He said that the filter takes a form of cyberpunk-looking mask that attaches to the front of the device. He took the headset to fellow YouTuber Dr. Mike. Dr. Mike, who you guys might remember, was in the first creator class. He boxed against iDubbbz, right? Anyway, who explains the flaws of the headset. He criticizes the air filter on the headset for having no seal, which is one of the things that I was talking about, right? So how could this thing purify air if there was no type of gasket or anything that formed around your mouth and your nose, right, to trap the filtered air, and keep the unfiltered air from mingling, right? That's one of the things Batman villain Bane. Yeah. It's pretty stupid, I'll be honest with you. Dr. Mike, who explains the flaws of the headset, he criticized the air filter of the headset for having no seal and only filtering to 0.1 microns. However, the device is not HEPA rated. Dr. Mike explains how harmful particles could in fact be trapped in the mask, meaning that any harmful particles that you exhale are just wanton blown out of the headset and into your surroundings. Compound with the headset's noise canceling capabilities, commented that the headphones might actually cause more problems than they solve. Given that the device blows air into your nose and mouth, it can dry out the mucous membranes on your body, which also could allow harmful pathogens to enter your system among a host of additional issues. So, anyway, the bottom line is, if you want to spend $1,000 on these headsets, knock yourself out. But understand something: you are not doing yourself any favors, because it is not really filtering the air. It's all substance over or symbolism over substance. It's just some sort of a marketing ploy to try to get you to spend $1,000 on a headset. So I thought it was goofy the first time we talked about, we discussed. I thought it was goofy as hell, and so anyway. Oh, and look, we're joined by the elusive D-Max. Looks like he is going to be here this morning, even though he was up late last night doing a very important God's work, doing a tier list of Goth mommies. And we're going to get into that. So, we talked briefly. Well, we didn't talk briefly. I did a whole show on it. I got some flack about it. About Airsoft Fatty. Airsoft Fatty joined the fish tank crew, right? And we went into the whole thing about how I felt like Airsoft had been used and abused and manipulated, not only by iDubbbz because of that stupid documentary he did, Full Force, how he exploited him, but I also felt that, or I also showed that after that there was a guy who came into Airsoft's universe, world, or whatever, who took advantage of him, was abusive towards him, and there was even some allegations of stolen funds and money. So it was kind of amazing to me how you know uh, Frank Hassel wound up comforting Airsoft over there on the fish tank that evening. When he was having a real moment of it, and it was all kind of coming crashing down on him. He had lost his place to live because of the trolls. And it's always the best policy not to feed into trolls, not unless you can really truly handle it. Because I think there's a way to use trolls to your advantage, right? Use them as marketing tools to better yourself. I just don't think Airsoft has the ability to do that. I think it's plain to see that Airsoft is developmentally challenged. And I got some slack about it. People were saying how, Airsoft, wastes money and Airsoft will never make a change and, all these things. I have no doubt in my mind. I have no doubt in my mind that Airsoft probably will never change. I have no doubt in my mind that Airsoft wastes money. I don't doubt that either, right? But what I think some of you guys are failing to, or some of these people who are really coming after me, what they fail to realize is if Airsoft is developmentally challenged, if he has limited, limited IQ, limited just basic knowledge on how to manage a household, right? Because again, being developmentally challenged, he's not going to know how to budget. He's not going to know how to. Is it a skill set that he can learn? Possibly, because I don't know on the scale where he's at. I don't know what his abilities are, right? But if he went from having a mother who kind of took care of all that, and the mother passes away, and then he gets lumped in or gets hooked up with these guys who are taking advantage of him, right? He may have never had anybody actually take the time to help him develop these basic skill sets that, an adult should have to be able to survive, right? For crying out loud, how many times do we see young kids, I mean,
Suck your own butthole. You're doing great.
Okay, I'll suck my own butthole. Good morning, my fellow peeps. D-Max is confirmed to be stinky and cringe. Also, Badwick should be arrested for what he does to steak. Well done, steaks with ketchup. Thank you, Slug, for the tip. Yeah, that whole ketchup on steak thing, I don't understand that. And here's the thing. I've done extensive research and talked with other Canadians. I think Badwick may actually kind of be a unicorn because it doesn't seem to be a thing. It doesn't seem to be a thing. Now, the well done steak on its own is a whole nother issue, but I have it on good authority that that putting ketchup on steak is not a Canadian thing. It's a Badwick thing. So, and anyway, back to my little thing here about Airsoft. I don't know if Sam Hyde and oh crap, what the other? I don't know. I hope that maybe they can get Airsoft with some sort of life skills coaches to help him develop some of these and get him the training and understanding that he can. I hope they do. I hope that they're not just using him as a bargaining chip, to thumb in the face of iDubbbz. I hope that's not the case. It may be a little bit of both. I don't know, but anyway. But recently, Airsoft Fatty made some waves on the fish tank. Now this guy here in the bottom, this is Brick, King Brick Shit. And King Brick Shit has been streaming this from the get-go, right? He has a like play-by-play commentary team.
Suck your own butthole. You're doing great.
All right. So I got another dollar tip from Slug. D-Max now needs to be put in the same jar as Badwick for his ketchup on a well-done steak. Both of them steak criminals. You guys are going to fear my tier list. Oh boy, here we go. All right. Well, thanks for the dollar tip there, Slug. But anyway, so this happened, and this is Brick's reaction. This is coming to us via the editing skills of editing and clipping skills of Abby Blackbird.
No, we're gonna find out. Oh fuck! Jesus! Fuck Christ! Oh, we're gonna find out. Oh fuck! Jesus!
So evidently, that may have broke Brick's brain. I'm not for sure. I am not for sure. But anyway, thanks to Abby for providing us clips and stuff for that. I appreciate that. So I don't care anything about that. All right. So last night, the boys over there at the Now Recording.
Suck your own butthole. You're doing great.
Slug, remember anime titties are kosher? I don't know if they are there or not. I don't watch anime, so I couldn't tell you. And what little anime I have seen, I think that it's actually considered anime. I don't remember them having titties in them, so. Like Cowboy Bebop. I watched some of Cowboy Bebop. I don't remember it having in there. What was the other one? I don't remember. Oh, there was one that my boys watched that I would watch occasionally with them. The Last Airbender or something, but I don't know if that's necessarily considered anime or not. I don't know. Whatever. It's cartoons. I look. So, the boys over at Now Recording Podcast did a tier list. I tried watching as long as I could last night, but I crashed. So I've got the final tier list because Matt tweeted out the final tier list, and I'll be quite honest. I'm a little bit at a loss.
Suck your own butthole. You're doing great.
Slug. Also, Badwick is going to fear me in the boxing ring. I'm training hard to destroy the Canadian heathen. Okay. You do you. You do you. There, Slug. So anyway, so here's the final tier list. As shared by Matt Pitt. Well, okay, I don't like it like that. So let's see if I can do this here. Open a new tab. Here we go. Let's blow this up. We can kind of look at this a little bit better. So SF is for Keffels. I don't know what. I don't understand all this, but okay. So we got Hannah Clark, Rump. That's Saggy Melons. That's Liana Taylor. I don't know who this one is here next to Liana Taylor, though. I don't remember. I don't recognize. Why are you in the waiting room, Max? You could come straight in, dude. You should have just been able to come straight in. What? Why didn't you just come straight in, Max?
Hey, oh, sorry. I don't know why, but it wasn't letting me.
Oh, was it letting you? Okay, I will have to correct that. I'll have to fix that.
No
Okay.
worries. No worries.
Right.
I mean, before I do anything else, hey Slug, look what I can do. Blah 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 blah. Hey, I'm here. I don't have to donate. I can just like be here. Ha ha ha. Suck it, Slug.
Oh, Slug. Don't cut into my philanthropy here, dude. Don't be taunting.
No, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get him to donate more.
To donate more? Gotcha. So who is this one next to Liana?
Ooh, would you mind sharing your screen or something with me?
No,
Because I can't.
I'm not sharing screens with you. That's how diseases happen.
Okay, that's true. To be fair, yeah, Mitch did get cyber COVID a little bit before the stream because he was too nervous. So it happened. So wait, who's beside? Oh, that looks like. I don't remember her name specifically, but it's like the kitty cat person. I guess she's a mod for Tipster.
Okay, fair enough.
She's like She's like his like top mod.
Okay, so I don't understand some of these ratings. So I understand not familiar. F, of course, is for fail.
Okay.
E, Mitch tier, everything goes. So
Suck your own butthole. You're doing great.
Oh, I didn't show up. Why didn't I show up over here? All right. Slug says, time for blood sports with D-Max. Knock yourself out, Slug. Have a little blood sports with
Yeah,
D-Max.
how about you go ahead and get started with that, and if I don't show up, just start without me.
Yeah, there you go. So basically, Mitch, well, hang on. So is these not the same?
Well, it's Leia something's left boob and her right boob.
Yeah, okay. So explain that one to me.
I mean, okay, so it's the breast of Leia something on her left side, and then the breast of Leia something on her right side.
Yeah, I got that. I'm not that dense.
Right.
But why did you have to cut Leia in half?
I'm surprised you're asking, really. I mean, it seems obvious to me.
Well, it's not obvious because she swore off a Tipster, right? I mean, when Tipster started this whole Keffels arc,
right.
she disavowed him basically, right? She turned her back on
him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and it was both of them it was both of her tits at once. But really, let's all be honest. I mean, her left and right boob felt differently about it. So.
All right, and so that's why, because Mitch is a horn dog, he said, I'll take the half that felt,
No, that didn't. I mean, yeah, no, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Mitch was the one. Yes, you're right. Now that I'm remembering correctly, yeah, Mitch was the one who really lobbied for that. I fought against it very hard. But he you know how he gets. I mean, he gets loud, he gets Australian, he gets scary. So yeah, that's why it's like that.
I'll be honest with you, a lot of these I don't know who they are. I do not know.
That's fine. That's fine. You know I put out a thing so that you can make your own Goth Mommy tier list, right?
wouldn't make no difference if you did or not because I don't know. Okay, I'll go.
Well,
with
you
the
don't
ones-
want to do that? You don't want to
No.
do that, people?
No, I don't. And here's the reason
Why?
why. Here's the reason why. Because honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
I just
didn't
don't
know
know all
most
the
of them either.
lores. I don't know the lores. Now
Yeah.
here's the ones I do know, right?
Okay.
All right. So of course this here is Empress K, right? And then there's
Yeah.
Jessica Pizzle, Keffels, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go out on a limb since it says B Beavers tier. Is this all the ones that Beavers would bang? Is that basically what that means?
Okay, so just so you know, the little parentheses things, but besides like the letters and stuff, like that doesn't. It does not mean anything. It's just me goofing.
It's just
as
you.
the
It's
thing
just
went
you.
along.
So that's just you being D-Max, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just me being stupid.
right.
But like the rankings, like the letter rankings, is where we like that is real. So those
All
are
right.
real.
So the S is the ride or dies, right? Will always be
Yeah.
a tipster.
Well, it's not even that. It's just our evaluation of it was like based off like a list that Matt had, and it
Yeah.
was more so just like it was just like a general vibe of like what we thought of like how good of a goth mommy they are either presently or like okay, for instance, in Hannah's case, because I don't know if you know this for tier lists, the most left is the top of the list, and then
Yes.
the right is the bottom.
Yes.
So we thought Hannah was like top goth mommy because she's like one of the OGs. She'd been
Yes.
around for forever. She's
Yep.
actually goth. She
Yep.
does the clipping. She
Yep.
checks all the boxes.
She
So it
checks
just
all
makes
the
sense to
boxes,
kind of
yeah.
put her.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah,
She's like the top of the measuring stick, right? I mean, she's
like the quintessential goth mom because not only has she moved on, but she's also like come back around to sort of throw some shade again. So I mean, like it just works.
Yeah,
Like it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because she showed up the other day and she threw some shade in. Who was it? She was tweeting at
Tiny Dancer.
Tiny Dancer. Yeah, a threat because supposedly. See, that whole thing was really confusing to me. So Tiny Dancer, I guess, allegedly had sent a picture or pictures to Tipster for quote review to see what would be the most profitable pictures to use for her Patreon or whatever it was she was doing. And
yeah, I don't know the specific.
And evidently Tipster was a little uncomfortable by that. So his answer to that was to share it with Hannah. And so then Hannah comes out, starts saying, I'm his, what was it she said? That basically that she was like his witness or some shit. I was like, witness to what?
Yeah.
What?
I think so. From my understanding of this now, like given like kind of post whatever hindsight,
Yeah.
I get the impression that I think that that at least the way I understand the story goes is that Tipster got these nudes and didn't understand that it was like a promotional thing for Tiny Dancer or something. Got uncomfortable and I guess decided to. And honestly, I can kind of see where his like head is at with this. He shared it with Hannah. I guess
I don't understand that one. I'm gonna just be honest with you. First of all,
well, it's because there's a like what he's. I think, and this is me like 3 layers deep because this is somebody
sure.
like I got explained this by somebody else who was explaining what they thought the situation was because it's so
vibes.
like
I got it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. So I don't know if this is right, but like as far as I understand, Tipster was like he felt like he shouldn't have gotten those nudes or something. So he was trying to confide in someone. He just needed anybody just to be like, "Hey, I got these, but I didn't do anything with it." Just that he could have like a fact witness later. Which honestly is kind of smart. Like I don't.
No, that's not how. Okay, I'm gonna tell you why it's not.
I mean, I wouldn't do that, but I understand. I think I get it.
First of all, I'm not gonna sit here and I guess judge necessarily what kind of relationship Tipster has with his friends. All right, but I'm gonna say, for me, right, looking at the situation. If you're a married man, if a woman sends you risque or even nude photos, your first thing is to be, excuse me, I'm a married man. No, thank you. And say, don't ever do this again. Right. And just don't establish the boundaries, establish the say, hey, I'm friendly with you. Right. That's why I have a thing where if I'm going to have a conversation, like if I have a female in the whatever out there that says, hey, Riv, can we talk? Sure. But understand that if it's a VC type thing, I'm recording it 100%,
Yeah. Well,
period.
look, man.
But listen, Tipster and his wife, maybe it's a different thing. Maybe his wife's cool with him looking at women who are naked. I don't know. But if that's the case, because that's what he's portrayed to us, right? That his wife is cool with all this, then why did he feel the need to have to send it to Hannah? That's where the disconnect comes into me.
This is when it's hard. This is when I'm going to be completely mask off here. This is when it's really hard because I know things from people that I've talked to, and this is not just a few people. So anybody out there who's guessing who I'm getting this from, you're wrong. It's an aggregate of actually like 5 or 6 people. It's not one person.
Yeah.
It's not 2 people. It's 5 or 6 people. I know some things behind the scenes, or I have some inkling of something that many people have told me about behind the scenes that kind of makes a lot of that make a little bit more sense. The problem is, and I think they're part of the reason why nobody understands that, is because it's not really in anybody's place to be able to talk about those facts.
All right, so
and go ahead.
Slug, welcome to the Beaniverse, where we learn how to maintain a marriage, give women cheese, respect the boobs, and don't get nudes from random women. Thank you, Slug.
It's not bad, actually. It was kind of poetic.
Yeah. Listen, the thing of it is
look, I guess what I'm saying is it might be the blind leading the blind here, because I don't know, and I don't know if you know what Tipster said after he was sent those stuff by Tiny Dancer. I mean, he could have said just that. He could have said, thank you so much, but I'm very sorry. He
could have. He very well could have. But again,
we don't know that. Yeah.
But again, all right. But again, I don't understand. Maybe I'm just, because I'm from a different generation in a different world, and I just have a different view on this. I don't understand why involve the third party. That's what I don't understand.
I think. Well, okay.
I'm sorry. Okay, here's the thing. All right.
Okay.
If that's what he felt like he needed to do, then fine. That's what he felt like to do. I'm just saying.
See, the problem is I don't know if he was venting. Like, I don't know if it was like a vent thing or if it was like a like a. You know what I mean? Like, because that could be a possibility too.
I don't.
What do you mean? It's like we vent to each other about stuff.
Sure, we have 100%. Yeah. But let me ask you a question. Have I ever sent you nudes because somebody sent me nudes saying, look at this? No.
That's true. I guess not really.
No.
But
okay.
But
listen,
I think that Tipster, he's not stupid. And I don't think that you would send it. That's the thing, is because this is Hannah, and I know Hannah. And anybody who knows Hannah frankly, anybody who's DMing with Hannah, in my opinion, should know better than to send her nudes as like a, hey, check this out. Because she's not that person. Like, she's just not.
Okay, so this is maybe some more disconnect for me. I don't know, okay? I have females who are friends IRL, and I have females online that I'm friendly with. I don't know if I'd call them probably the closest that I have that I would actually consider a friend would probably at this point be maybe Xylee. But even Xylee and I still feel like we're still early stages, right? Getting to know each other, because there's still things to this day, like I will say or do things that is very upsetting to Xylee because of the stances that I have. And I get that, right? But again, that's part of when you're making friends with somebody, it takes time to kind of get to know each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're in that process of getting to know each other, you will hit an impasse to where, you know what, this is just something I can't come to terms with. This is just something that, I'm sorry, as they say, it's a deal breaker, and we can be cordial to each other, but we're not going to be friends because this is a deal breaker for me. And I've been in situations like that. So I'm like, yeah, okay, fine, whatever. You know.
So you're applying that to this. Are you saying that like Tipster and like that? Because that's the other thing is, again, we don't know like what level of friendship Tipster and Hannah had. I mean, it sounds like at some point they were fairly like
here's
definitely very close.
I'll just come out and say it. I think that people online, this goes back to this whole thing, kind of like what Leon was saying the other day. He called about this parasocial shit. I do believe that people are way too quick to declare each other like BFFs and start telling some of their most intimate stuff to. It's like
Well, okay, let me say this though.
yeah.
I think that friendship does. I think friendship and love are two words that I think, at least in the modern context, a lot of people have some disagreements as to like what those like kind of are. Let me give you an example, right? I at some point had a relationship where like we were, you know, we were going hot and heavy, right?
Yeah.
And at some point I decided to say like, oh, hey, I love you. You know, I love you. From my heart, I love you, right?
You crossed the L word barrier. Got it.
Right. And they did too.
Yeah.
And then later on down the line, you know, they were like talking about marriage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's cute to talk about that, but like, just so you know, we're like way far, you know, off away from that. And then the other person says, well, what do you mean? You said you loved me. And I, you know, maybe this is my own foible or how I grew up or how I was raised or whatever. I had to say to this person that I love you, but I'm not in love with you. And that doesn't register to this person. Then I had to explain. It's like for me, right? And I don't know if it's this way for other people, but I have people in my life who I would say I love you to. There aren't very many. It's not like it's a whole lot. There are people, you know, I would just say a general I love you to people, but I wouldn't mean it so personally to like a friend or somebody that I was dating, like a loved one, a family member or whatever, right? But to me, saying I am in love with you is like saying I do want to spend the rest of my life with you. You're my life partner. You're my soulmate. I'm going to marry you on the spot kind of thing. That's the type of person that I would say I am in love with you. So what I'm saying is there's a discrepancy there just between that word for love. But I think there's the same discrepancy for friendship. I think some people latch on to people. Like, I think that there are some people who it's like they walk in, it's the first day of school. The guy to their right says hello to them. And they're like, wow, look at that. I just made a friend. And then there are some people who in that same interaction, who just goes, oh, that guy looks nice. Maybe we'll be friends at some point.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that could be the problem, is that Tipster could just be that friendlier kid.
He very well could be. And I've had people like that in my own life where they're overly friendly and everybody has to, they just have this thing where everybody is, their friend. But that is such a foreign concept to me. They're just acquaintances, right? And to me, it takes a long time. When I say a long time, I'm talking about years of knowing somebody, having conversation, interactions with them before I'm like, yes, this is my friend. When I say this is my friend, what I mean by that is if they call me up in the middle of the night and their car's broke down, there's no
you just get up
and moaning. You get up, you go help them, right? I have friends that I love. And what does that mean? That means that I consider them like family. They are very, very, very important to me, right?
Right.
But there's only very few people that I actually, there's just my wife that I'm in love with, right? And that means that the equation to that would be like my sons. I love my sons. I would lay down my life to protect them, right?
Right.
The
good ones anyway.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know.
Well,
It's so confusing to me, this thing. But anyway, we're kind of
yeah.
so
I don't
back
want
to
to
this
stare
back to the yeah back to this tier list. So basically, the top ones, these are the ride or dies, as they say. These are the ones who
top
are
tier goth mommies.
top tier, whatever, right?
Right.
The ones down below that, they arrive, but they may not necessarily die, right? And then
I'll be honest with you. I feel like A ended up being like, hey, we actually just genuinely think these people are either talented or good enough. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
it's weird. It's just weird. Like this is the funniest thing. And
Yeah.
you were there earlier on in this stream, so you can
Yeah.
confirm.
Yeah.
Chat was going nuts on us, and it was just
Yeah.
like, guys, like
Yeah.
this is all a joke. Like it's like none of this matters
Yeah.
at all.
Because some of these, I'm honestly, I'm a little bit like, for example, you've got
No, this dude. I'm just gonna shoot the fucking thing down in the water. Like, yeah, this tier list is obviously schizo as hell.
yes,
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, there's people at the top who should be at the bottom. There's people
Yeah.
at the bottom who should be at the top. It's like, yeah, the people in the middle. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, why is Paige Christie here? It's like,
Yes, I was gonna say, why is Paige Christie there? I mean, there was some things I was like,
it's so good. It's
But
so good. It
the
was
bottom
great.
the bottom line is you guys just was having some fun, and
Yeah.
this is not worth the digital zeros and ones it took to make it.
I just love it because, like,
Yeah.
for instance,
Yeah.
like Abby Blackbird comes in
Yeah.
after Keemstar got off. I don't know if you know that Keemstar called in.
Oh, Keemstar called it. Holy shit! Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah, he called in. It was really funny. He went off on Tipster. It was a whole thing.
Oh God.
And yeah, no, but Abby, I think it was really funny. I just because when Abby came up, Beavers immediately was like, "Well, I'm gonna go get some coffee," and then Core's like, "Well, I'm gonna go get some coffee." Just everybody left. And, but then it was really funny because we ended up putting her in C, kind of like, you know, hurriedly.
Yeah.
And then later on in the stream, she's like in the chat and she's just like, "Why am I in C?"
Yeah.
It's just so funny.
Why did she think she should be like an S or a A? I mean,
See, that's the thing. Is like I don't know what's better on this list. Is it better to be an S tier or an F tier? I don't know. It's
don't know
like,
either.
I think C is honestly like the safest place for anybody. Like the more to the center of the tier list you are, the better off you are. I mean, ironically though, Keffels is in B, so I have no idea.
I don't know. You know, here's a funny thing about these tier lists. I'll be honest with you. Dave and I were having a little conversation the other evening, and we were talking about these tier lists that were showing up, popping up everywhere, right? And I was like, you know, it was really weird how, you know, like it seems like every like year or every couple of years or whatever, something like that, these tier list things come back around where they become like meta again, right? And everybody's talking about the tier list, right? And it's really, really surreal because all of a sudden now my picture is showing up on these tier lists, right? And some of them's got me down, you know, they don't know me or you know, whatever, at the bottom of the tier, they, you know, either they don't know me or they just don't like me, whatever. And that's, I don't care, whatever, right? And then I've got some that's got me up there at the, like, not, I don't think, maybe there's one or two that actually has me like at the very top, like I'm S tier, which I have to question their taste, honestly. But whatever, you know. But anyway, they each to their own, right? Everybody has their, you know, their own rankings, and they like people for whatever reason, and then that's cool. But here's what got really funny about this, right? So Dave was like, you know, it's really cool because he says, yo, he goes, I'm actually on these tier lists now. That's really cool. He goes, I've never been on the tier list before. I said, really? He goes, yeah, which is kind of surprising because, you know, Dave's a larger creator. You know, he's got like 10, you know, up until this year, he was still like 9,000 sub YouTuber, which is pretty good numbers, really.
Yeah.
And he said, but that's not the problem. I said, oh, well, what's the problem? He says, there's people that are actually putting you over me.
Oh.
And I was like, what? Yeah, I don't understand that. I said, well, I guess because they like me. I don't know. He says, yeah, but that he goes, that kind of bothers me. I'm not going to lie.
Ooh.
I'm like, what?
Okay.
I think he was.
I mean,
just,
that's
think he was-
people who put Matt Pitt over shot from the point. I'm
Yeah.
just saying they put now recording over shot from the point. It happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, you know what though?
Yeah.
I agree. It is a little weird when these things kind of come back up, but
Yeah.
I never pass up a good opportunity to do some data collection. Right.
Sure.
So here's what you do. Okay.
Yeah.
You set up a series of folders, right? Abby
Yeah.
Blackbird style. You name them all the people, all the people that you know, all the people you're followed on Twitter. Anytime
Yeah.
you see a tier list, you make a new folder and you pop it in there, right?
Yeah.
You label it. You make sure that you have it dated and labeled.
Yeah.
And then here's what you do: you track it, right? And you see, like for instance, like Badwick's tier list. Like, does Badwick like me more now than he did a couple months ago?
Yeah.
You can kind of track it, see how you're doing with some people,
I
and
don't
can
care
do you good.
about all that. I don't.
No,
care.
but it's data collection, though, people. It's important data. It's research. It's part of the job.
No, the hell it is. My job is to get up. I make coffee. I come here. I talk out my ass most mornings. And
Riv, we both know that we hyperfixate over some of these people's tier lists. You can't even say that we haven't spent at least 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 or 8 hours, just like poring over, just crying, molding, seething, pissing ourselves over these tier lists.
I haven't.
Yeah, you and I, we did. We got together. We sat down at a poker table. We hashed it out. We had some shots, and then we started looking at these tier lists, and we were surprised by what we were seeing, and we had a good laugh at it, at Dave's expense, of course, great.
It must have been some really stout shots because I sure as hell don't remember that. So
yeah, you were wasted. You fucking you.
Was I hammered?
Yeah, you were. You were hammered because you just couldn't handle it. You couldn't handle that I was above you in all the tier lists. You were thinking to yourself, why, God, why? And I said, it's going to be okay, people. I said, it's going to be all right.
That
but you just kept on slamming it back. Yeah.
It 100% makes sense why you're above me on all the tier lists.
Well, you couldn't handle it at the time. See, you've coped with it now. Now it's like out of your system. So that's why you're at the position that you're at. Yeah. I don't think so. That's what happened. I mean, that was obviously the reality, right? Like that totally happened.
Of course it did. Let me see here.
It did. And then you remember this. The moose showed up. Remember that?
Yeah, 100%. I remember.
Yeah, there was a big giant moose. He had like Christmas lights in his antlers. Why are you pulling that up? What the hell is that?
I think this explains exactly why you're above me on all the tier list. Look at that. I can't compete with this.
Well,
I mean, look at that.
Thanks for leaking my nudes. Yeah, that's
You're welcome.
Great. Yeah, look at that. Mm-hmm.
If I had a physique
I'll have you know, again,
Max, if I had a physique like that, I would be ashamed of that.
Wait a minute. I just realized we spent like, 30 minutes talking about Hannah Animal and the whole fucking tipster thing, and then you're going to actually... Yeah, you posted my nudes already. You literally...
Yes. Yes.
That's like worse. I'm not Tiny Dancer. I don't have an OnlyFans yet. Okay? No, you can't be doing that.
We have to work on that. We need to get the marketing machine in place for you. We need to start getting this going.
That's why I'm doing the data research for all these tier lists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's interesting to me that you said Keemstar popped in on the now recording show last night because Tipster clips this out. And I had this on cue to play because I felt it was kind of strange that Tipster is almost like he was firing a shot at Keem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So have you heard this? Have you seen this or heard this?
When this is last night? He posted this last night?
He posted this at 11:39 p.m. my time, right?
Interesting.
May the 17th of 2023.
I wonder if that lines up because I don't remember when in the show Keemstar came in. But I want to say that's about right. Like, okay, I'll say this: if he posted that because of Keemstar coming in, it would have been like he came in and he immediately posted that.
So, do you want to hear what this
yeah.
has?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's listen to this.
What are your thoughts on woke culture as a whole? Seems like you I don't know, like what I don't know, fire away. What's your thoughts on just the idea of woke culture?
So I absolutely hate it, like the pronouns and all that stuff. It never makes any sense to me. But then I'll say something like very sensible. Like right now there's a big battle in the community to support trans people and to hate on trans people. And I'm somewhere in the middle. Like I could care less if you're trans or not. It doesn't bother me. But like don't try to like put that onto children, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That's where I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you got some of these trans supporters like trying to get like drugs and stuff to children, and these drag shows that I keep seeing. So like there's a line. But I'm not like necessarily against trans people. Like Chris from Mr. Beast, he was a guy forever, and now he's trans. Could care less. I don't care. But there is this one post that he made on his Instagram where he was putting girl shoes on his son who's like 8 or something. And I'm like, whoa. Like now I'm like, what the fuck is going on over here? Right. Leave the fucking kids out of it. But yeah, I hate all this woke stuff. It's stupid and it's all backfiring. Guys like Sneeko, Andrew Tate, and like Leafy's back, and a bunch of edgelords and whatnot. They're the kings of the internet right now because people are just fed up with this stupid shit. Elon Musk taking over Twitter, really, that was the end of the woke shit. It's dying, and it's dying fast. I'm seeing it die real fast in the culture.
Base takes from Keemy, I think.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of my father.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's interesting because what's funny is that Keemstar actually called in, and part of what he was saying, like he called in questioning, right, just asking us like what is going on with Tipster essentially, and then Matt kind of explains what's been happening recently, and Keemstar comes to the conclusion that so it's a grift because he actually came in with the numbers. Talking about how Tipster has been gaining subs now because of all of this.
Yeah.
And Keemstar just being like, well, what's going on? He leaves the community, whatever. I guess he just wasn't cued into like the Tipster cycle yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, here's what I see, right? Because I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel like what Tipster's doing is a grift. And let me be specific with what I mean by that. I mean that I don't believe that Tipster believes 100% of what he's talking about. I don't believe that he is on that Keppel's side of politic. I don't believe it. I think he's like more moderate than that, and I think he's playing to that crowd because that's a way to be able to kind of kickstart the engine. So and I'm not making a moral judgment about that. I think it's a tactical decision. I wouldn't do it. I value, my own honesty. For my art, that's what I value. But if somebody else wants to do that, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
But it could be that he. So what I see is Tipster basically playing more of the, let's say, extremist. I don't want to call him an extremist, but more on the further end of whatever political spectrum. Whereas Keem is kind of more in the middle, right? So he has a lot of varying degrees of ideas and stuff like that. And I think Tipster at least is trying to kind of, and I don't want this to be derisive, but he's kind of playing to the cult. He's playing to the hegemon. He's playing he's going all the way in the one direction, and so that's where you know what I mean? That's he's really going for it, whereas Keemstar is actually having his own opinions. Tipster's just doing party line shit.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
As far as Tipster gaining subs or whatever, if we look, let's see here, where we detail statistics. Close out. So he gained 1,000 subs.
Right. And that's what Keemstar said.
But he's kind of, and I'm sure he's probably getting a few maybe here and there every day type thing because YouTube changed their API and stuff. So Social Blade cannot give you a
definitive
live count or whatever. But prior to that, I think Tipster's been kind of level. You know what I'm saying?
Stagnant.
Yeah. For the
So like, well, that's what I mean is like, regardless of whether it is actually a grift or not, it is working for him. It is like, this was a good move. Like he
Yeah.
seems to be getting,
I
you know,
was listening to
at least metrically.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. I really don't have one way or the other with Tipster. I Tipster and I have always been cordial to each other, right? He was even kind enough to shout
Tipster
me
with
out.
everybody.
Yeah, he even shouted me out a couple of times, which I was very, very appreciative. He didn't have to, but I appreciated it.
I think he's a nice person. I don't think he's a bad guy.
No, I don't think he is a bad guy. I think he is a very nice person. The thing that was the other day, the broadcast, I don't know if it was one of their streams or one of their shows, but they went over the whole Tipster debate thing that he put out, that he and Augie and Bo Blacks had, right? And the thing of it is, Tipster, as we call it down here, he beat around the bush. He didn't really say, Augie was asking questions and Tipster really gave him non-answered answers, if that makes sense. The thing that Zadi said, and Zadi calls Tipster a friend. She says they're friends, and so
yeah.
I take it as what Zadi says.
She said that on the podcast too.
Yes. The thing that is concerning, right, that she says she has is Tipster has things that he says that is not received inside of that bubble, that sphere, right? Like when he's dealing with somebody that's being obtuse or they're just being downright stupid and argumentative, he'll ask him, what are you, retarded? Okay, look, that is a word that Keffel said not too long ago, and she damn near got herself canceled within her community. She had to come out and do this whole apology tour, the whole thing, right?
I think he has a soundboard thing for retarded too.
Yeah. Another perfect example of something like this is if you look at what happened to H3H3, right? Ethan Klein. He cultivated a more progressive, woke type audience. And when he started making fun of James Charles' sex habits, and I actually had one of his callers call in to say, hey, calling somebody a power bottom and stuff, and how that's derogatory, and how and he started kind of shitting all over this caller, this fan of his, about it. His community turned against him, and like he lost ad sponsors. He had this whole big downward spiral where, for several podcasts after, they talk about, well, we don't have any ads because, and yeah, go ahead.
Can I tell you the distinction? So yeah. I think, okay, my theory is I bet you, I think if I were Tipster and I was looking at that, the way I would view it is that H3 is on the inside. He's for whatever reason, he's like a part of the, let's call it the establishment, like the YouTube establishment. YouTube has lifted him up. He's like a preferred podcast kind of a thing. I think Tipster might want that. I think that Tipster might look at that and go, hey, like that could be me. And so, and to his point and to his credit, I think that if Tipster was in that particular situation, I don't think that would have happened, because Ethan Klein is a despicable person and an asshole. And so like when somebody calls in like that, he's going to be mean and he's going to be cruel, because that's just who he is. Whereas like Tipster, if he got that kind of blowback, I don't think he would have reacted that way. I don't think he would have doubled down on his position in that way. He probably would have just been like, oh, okay, yeah, I understand. Like, that's, fair, whatever.
I get that. I get but what I'm saying is we've seen this even. Tipster will, like, for example, if somebody calls
I get it. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of time with the left. I'm just saying that, like, I think it would have been a slower burn. And what I mean is, like, if it is a grift, I could see a calculated decision on Tipster's part just to be like, all right, hey, look, this is the potential. Like, this is like H3 is like, that's the top of the build for something that I could maybe have.
Yeah.
That's a platform that I could have, and
Yeah.
I could be better than him, and it could make a work, or it could at least work out better for longer.
I
I don't
you
know.
I don't. It's possible. You may be very right. That may be what he's looking at. But what I'll say is you have to be so careful, because that type of crowd that you're cultivating there, right? They turn so quickly that
Yeah.
you say something, and it doesn't even. It could just be a throwaway comment. It doesn't have to even be anything serious, and boom, it becomes a thing, right? Because then all of
Right.
a sudden it's on Reddit, and then it starts blowing up on Reddit, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 and next thing you know, it's all gone, poof, right?
hmm
Um, so no, I don't. I agree that he's not an evil vision, and he's not a mean person like what H3, that Ethan is. Ethan is a
Yeah.
very very bitter
Ethan is
person.
vicious.
Yeah, very vicious, bitter person. I don't think Tipster's that at all, but I don't think you have to be with this crowd. I
No.
don't think you have to be a
Yeah.
vicious. I think if you
Well,
just
but
say
that's
the
the thing
wrong
is
thing at the
we
wrong
know that.
time, yeah,
I again, if Tipster ever listen to this, I do not mean this
yeah,
to be mean or anything like this. This is just an evaluation of you based on
yeah,
the information that I currently have.
yeah,
I don't know if Tipster is that bright. Like, in what I mean by that is, I don't know if he's like that. I don't know if he's this introspective or this.
yeah,
Like I guess what I mean is that, like, if he was playing chess, I could see him looking 2 steps ahead. I don't know if I would see him, 6 or 7. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So, like, I'm just saying, like, I'm just like, this isn't me wargaming what I would
Sure.
do if I were Tipster. Given that I think that Tipster is more of that type of person. I'm more the type of person to try to look at things down the line. You are too. We see this. We know this about the left. We know this about the crowd. That crowd. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you eventually are going to get to a point where, yeah, you say something very light, innocuous, make a random, just sort of passing fancy. Tipster is, a straight male.
Yeah.
He's Latin, but that means less and less, these days. In terms of like minority status or whatever. I mean, I don't know. He could be looking at this from a different, like, he could be thinking exactly all of the things that we've been saying. He could just be looking at it as like, who cares? Like, what have I got to lose at this point?
Yeah.
Because honestly, from his point, like, because you were talking about like, oh, like what happens when they start dragging you? It's like, well, maybe that's his entry to get back into commentary. Like, I mean, like, I don't think that Tipster's thinking that far ahead. But I'm just thinking,
Okay.
like, wouldn't it be kind of crazy, like, if he goes this direction for a few months, let's say 6 months, right? Something happens or whatever down the line. He gets the grift the entire way too. He makes bank on it,
Yeah.
all of that, and then they come at him, and whatever, and it's over something really petty and stupid. So commentary do what commentary do, at least the good people in it. And we come to his defense just to say, okay, this is wrong. Maybe Tipster's not, the best, but this is where he's okay, and who cares?
Yeah.
And then, maybe Tipster does an apology tour, and then he winds back up in commentary, but in better graces. I don't know. Like, I could see that happening too. I mean, like, there's many different possibilities. This is why I'm like, with this one, honestly, the thing that bothers me is like everybody jumping on the story. It's just with some of these things, it's like you and I talk about this all the time. It's like, fucking let it cook, man. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, sure, we can all react to like the whole Tipster becoming friends with Keffels because it's an interesting development. But past that, it's like we don't know how this is going to shake out. We don't know, and we don't know anything about, like, I would even go as far to say, as much as I personally do not like Keffels or what she's about, I don't know. Maybe she will change after the drugs. I don't know. It's possible. Maybe Tipster's right. Maybe Keffels has changed. Maybe we don't know. I don't know. I'm willing to wait and see. I wouldn't go out there.
So
If somebody told me a fucking fire-breathing dragon was now not breathing fucking fire, it was breathing fucking bubbles, I'd be like, wow, that sounds really neat, but you go take a picture of it. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah. So DeadOnDave had this in chat, and I think there may be some validity to this thought. He goes, it might be just as simple as he's getting older, and right now it's very popular to judge your own past or move on to a new community. He's also incredibly awkward. There might not be anything else to it. And
Yeah.
there
I
is this thing with
that
this,
would be it,
this,
yeah.
the self-reflection, this looking back, if you will.
Introspection, looking in. Yeah.
iDubbbz is doing it, right?
Mm.
It's not going so well for iDubbbz. Um,
No.
So, and you said, if he goes over there and gets devoured, maybe he comes crawling back to, or not, maybe crawling back's not there's that word, but he comes back to the commentary community and whatever. The question is would he be received? Would he be welcomed? I don't know.
By some people, yes. By
Probably
other people, no.
Probably, yeah, probably. I think it all depends on, if he doesn't do the iDubbbz and talk about his fan base as being these basement dwelling, troglodytes that come crawling out, and you're like, ooh, you know what I'm saying? I don't want anything to do with them. Type statement that he made. As long as Tipster doesn't make statements like that, he might be, I don't know.
Yeah, because look at it, man. I mean, it's like with this amount of, with this traction that he's getting from this, I mean, he could literally just coast with very mild takes, because it's kind of like people have made the accusation anyway that Tipster kind of waits for other people to talk on something before he tries to take a controversial position. So it very well could be that Tipster just thinks that he has his ear to the ground enough that he follows certain people, and if he just waits to make his content before, after they do, then at the very least he can't be lambasted because he can be like, well, yeah, I have the take that this person has.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their strategy.
I don't know if that's a good one either, because there's been people out there saying that ever since he kind of has separated or broken ties with people like Augie and Nick and Bo Blacks and that, that his takes have not been the greatest. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I think they're Tipster takes. They're pretty.
I think it's really hard because at least my view on takes for people is that you have to evaluate it kind of one at a time. So it's like, I don't know.
To me, it always seems it's like this. You have people that have these benign takes where they're not like edgy nuclear takes.
Right.
So they're not really one way or the other. They're just, pretty safe.
It's a take.
Middle of the road. And then, you have people that have these like common sense takes that are like, they considered a little edgy sometimes, especially with culture the way it is today. But it's kind of like this, like, for example, this video we just watched with Keemstar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now he's talking about, I don't care if you're transgendered or not. I don't really care, whatever. Right. He says, he's like, but just leave the kids alone. Why involve the kids? Well, I don't understand why we're involving kids in this.
Yeah. That seems like a common sense take.
Yeah, it seems like a fairly common sense take to me anyway. Right.
Right.
But if you look at where we're at and the stories and the headlines that we're being inundated with these days, it seems like that's kind of like a very controversial, edgy take, according to some
well, what's
people.
hard, I think what's hard is that I do believe we're in the middle of kind of like the culture fucking war, but also like a snap where I think that we're in this weird zone where now, like, it's like the positions that people have about these types of things snap. It's not like it's like, oh, there's like a middle ground between, because there really is no middle ground between whether you believe children should not be sexualized and whether children should be sexualized. And I'm not saying like, when I mean that, I don't mean it like, oh, like the left is trying to be predatory. It's more so like, to me, it's an innocence thing. It's like the left doesn't believe in innocence is the way I see it. And then, the right or anybody else who isn't the left, honestly, just believes that children should be innocent on some level, whether that's 1% to 100% innocent. The left just believes like, no, just cut that down. We don't need that. I'm working in very broad generalities here, but I'm just saying that, like, I think that is kind of the crux of the problem. So it's like for people like us who I think lie more on the thing of like, yeah, no, children should be innocent. Yeah. For us, it seems like a common sense take just to look at it, to be like, yeah, leave the kid out of it. Like, you don't even need to float the idea of sex to a kid. It's like, who cares what they're attracted to when they're 5 fucking years old? It doesn't matter. They don't even know probably, let alone like them for the rest of their lives. Why put that label on them? But there are some people that would say, well, children should be gender neutral because it should be their option to be able to choose or whatever. That's kind of a
Yeah.
newer mindset, and maybe that's like common sense for them and their perspective or whatever. But it's hard because like I just really think that like nuance is out the fucking door these days. It's just there's no kind of middle ground. So I guess tying it back to Tipster, it could very well be that he is just. I mean, his politics maybe he's just gotten more into politics, and maybe he just this is
It's
where
very
he
well
ended
possible.
up. You know.
I know when I was younger, I was a lot more into politics. I was a lot more active. I was a lot more outspoken about politics. I used to actually have the mindset that I could argue somebody into submission on politics and get them to see the things the way that I saw them. I used to actually think that
Sure.
bullshit.
Oh,
As
yeah.
I've gotten older,
Didn't we all?
yeah. But as I've gotten older, it's come down to this: is I don't care. I
Yeah.
honestly, truly don't care. People are going to vote the way that they're going to vote. And it's not really up to me to sit there and try to dissuade somebody from voting party A or party B. You know, people just vote. I don't think
I'll be
I'm more
honest with you,
concerned with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know, not to derail too much, but I think every policy position that I have at this point is things that I want to do in spite of the parties or to break
Yeah.
apart the parties. Something I
Yes.
think would be very, very helpful, at least in the U.S. I don't know about other places, but for the U.S.
Yeah.
politics, I think we need to take Republican and Democrat off the voter roll. I think we need to like remove the party affiliation from the people that are running, because I think that would help a lot. Because I think part of the problem is people go into the voting booth and they just vote D or R without really knowing their candidates. It's like that's a major, major problem. I would rather people go in and vote at random, honestly, than to just do that. It's just, but that's what I'm saying. Like, we're kind of in this weird fucky wucky part of this, whatever we're in, culture war, whatever. And I think that it's just hard because I think that what I have noticed, right? Because I've been in the fight. It feels like to me, I have been in that fight or been paying attention to that realm of politics for an amount of time. And what I've seen is it's like Smash Brothers Ultimate, right? It's like the lead up to that, where it's like you don't know who's going to be in the game. You don't, because you didn't get the final announcement that everybody's there, and you're just thinking like, who's going to be the new person that joins in? And then it's like one day you wake up and Sakurai is like, oh, fucking Banjo-Kazooie's in the game. And you're like, whoa, let's go. So what I mean is like people are joining the fight like at random parts, like at random points in their lives, right? And it very well just could be that Tipster just woke up, started paying attention, looking at politics, going, hey, wait a minute. This whole transgender debate that's happening with the kids and HRT and like whatever. And then he looks at all that, and his personal evaluation is just that he's more in line with that. And maybe it is possible that maybe he still has some of those more more centrist or more right-wing kind of opinions about other things, but maybe he just might think that this is like a bigger deal. Like this is a thing to like more pay attention to, It could be just like an evaluation of. Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to but I want to come back to this because I've been sitting there staring at this tweet.
Okay.
And Tipster says, Keemstar shares his thoughts on, quote, woke culture on the Side Scroller podcast hosted by Stuttering Craig. Link to the full interview is in the replies below. But then he has this clip. Of course, we watched that about, Keemstar talks about, his ideologies and stuff, whatever. So he has woke culture in quotes.
I think I know why that is.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
There's a lot of leftists that I have heard that reject the concept of woke because they say that it is amorphous and doesn't have a true definition. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of conservatives that will just go around and say stupid things like, woke is like Marxism. It's like socialism and communism. And it's like, that is such a narrow view of what like woke, quote unquote, really is.
Okay.
I don't know if there's been like a very good definition for what woke is. I honestly, fuck it. I I don't like bringing people, like specific people up when I talk about politics, because there's always people that are like, oh, you like this person, so you're one of these people. It's like, look, I have people that I just watch and pay attention to. And sometimes I evaluate everybody's takes one at a time and I go, okay, this is a good one. This is a bad one. Right.
Mhm.
So I think this is one of the good ones from Tim Pool. He said, he's been going around saying, and I'm going to butcher this 100%, but basically it's like, it's a social media algorithmic sort of like pushed content to a very particular ends, and usually it sides more in the favor of whatever the establishment narrative is. And what I mean by that is like high society, you know, the upper crust, the upper class. It's like the corporate donors, those types of things. Like the types of things that they push, the types of things that you would see in a Bud Light commercial or a Pepsi commercial or a fucking Charmin commercial or whatever. Like those are the things that are promoted. So like, I think that's kind of what more woke is. Like when people say woke, I think they're more talking about like, that's why it's so amorphous and weird. It's not just Marxist. It's not just like, you know, critical race theory, whatever they want to say. It's not any, like, because there's nothing about critical race theory, for instance, that's like, well, I guess that one is inherently Marxist, because critical theory. But anyway, there are like other examples of things that are not like necessarily just Marxist, but like it's so I think that's what maybe he's doing, is like the whole woke culture, because I think that there are a lot of people who are honestly, let's call them woke culturalists, who just reject the idea of woke culture. I think they just look at it as polite society.
Well, I just sit back and I look back through, I guess, time, right? I look back.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm a firm believer that society, politics, everything that makes up, we'll say this. I usually just when I talk about this, I'm referring to the United States because that's the one I pay the attention to, because that's where I live, right? But in the States, our politics, our society, everything, it's like a pendulum, right? And the pendulum is swinging, right? It's constantly moving, boom, boom, boom. And the problem is that the pendulum has continued to where it swings higher and higher to more and more extremes, right? So, you know, when the whole trans community conversation first started and everything, is because you had, and this is where it kind of is really weird, because it had nothing to do really with, it could involve transgendered people, but not necessarily. It was the drag queens coming in and reading books and stuff in libraries, right? And so people started really pushing back. I don't want drag queens. I didn't ever really have a problem with that, as long as it wasn't something that was overtly like sexual stuff, because these were for
we've
smaller
had this
kids.
conversation.
They were
the burlesque stuff.
Yeah,
like,
the smaller kids. But if a person wants to go and they're in drag and they want to read to kids, I don't see a problem with that. To me, it was no difference than if somebody wanted to dress up like one of the characters inside of a book that they're reading about and read. You know, every year all across the country, people dress up as like Cat in a Hat or some other Dr. Seuss character, and they read Dr. Seuss books to kids. I don't see a problem with that. Whatever. To me, it's fine. But then, because there was pushback there, right? So now we have to push back, right? Push. So now we have all the, you know, we get, I don't know about y'all's, but it's like my news feeds, my timeline on Twitter, all these things is inundated with all this nonsense about parents taking their kids to these very overtly sexual burlesque drag shows and stuff, right? And here's the thing. I personally would never take my kids to something like that. I don't, you know, for crying out loud, we wouldn't let our kids watch, you know, movies that had sex scenes and stuff in it when they were that age either. So it's not just, oh, no, I just don't think kids should be seeing that type of stuff.
Yeah, you believe in innocence. That's what I'm saying. Is that like I think that is the divide. Is that there are some people out there who believe that children should not have innocence. Like, okay, because I think a good tie-in here is the sex ed for kids, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
where you line up on that will tell me what you feel about drag queens or the drag queen story hours.
Yeah.
Because if you are the type of person to where you say, I believe that we should give 4-year-old sex ed, if you're that person, then I believe that you're probably the person too who would be like, yeah, drag time story, or drag queen story time. Like, let's go. Let's put on the full burlesque. I don't care if it's fucking ass chaps. Like, let's go.
Yeah. No, I think it's a little young, but I think,
I wouldn't do it. No, I'm just saying, like, if you're that type of person,
sure,
like, that's, you would predisposed to not caring about that kind of thing.
Sure.
We are not, we are, I think you and I are similar in that at least you get into the, I think like maybe the 16 to 18 zone before maybe even a sex ed class should be introduced. I believe it's like, I think, and even then maybe that's a little bit early. I don't know.
But to answer your question, Trippy Savage, yes, I had the Sears and Roebuck catalog. That was my girly magazine when I was a kid growing up. That's all we had. What of it?
Sure.
If you haven't seen a hot model in granny panties, what are you been doing with your life? Right?
Yeah, that's like peak temptation, really. It leaves everything to the imagination.
Yeah.
It's like, honestly, that is better though, because it's like the monster in a horror movie. It's like the less of it you see, the better. The more you can kind of imagine, the scarier it is.
Bunny says, I watched Showgirls way too young, and look what happened to her. That's funny.
Well, there you go.
It's funny because, I watched that back in the day, right? And I was like, I couldn't get over being shocked at this young girl who I'd watched play on, Saved by the Bell in a role like that, which was a very adult role, a very mature role, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the overt sexiness and sexualization. And I was like, and I was a grown person. I mean, I don't know, I probably was in my 20s or something, maybe. And
this is our fucking culture, man. I mean,
I guess
in my generation, it was Hannah Montana. Like Hannah Montana was like the, like I was a little bit too old for that, but like people who were a little bit younger than me grew up on Hannah Montana. Excuse me. And then, she went on to do the Miley Cyrus bit, right? Where she's now like, I came in like a wrecking ball, and she's on a like she's completely and totally nude. It's like, well, it's like that's like it's people use this term subversion a lot. It's like it's a subversion of a time in your innocence, because it's like for instance, like the people that I'm talking about, like my cousin, for instance, she grew up on that, and she's like she's 18 now. She just turned 18, and like, so she's now an adult, but that has been what, 6 years since that song came out? Whatever, like 5 years.
Yeah.
So like that's a pretty, like, she was like 15, when that came out. So it's like, I think that I think these types of things have always existed in culture, where it's like, you take an innocent idol and then you mar them with like more of that sexualized kind of thing. Yeah. I think the difference is that like these days, it's just, we're having that debate. We're literally having that debate. So it matters a lot more. Yeah. And also I just wanted to say too, because I was thinking about this before, there's this idea of the Overton window. I think it's kind of important for everybody to understand that, at least in terms of like political commentary, like on any level, like whether it's actually commentary, like literally commentary, community or whatever, the Overton window exists, and people do try to make plays to be able to widen it. Right. So what I mean by that is that you take so if you are arguing a position from a middle position to somebody on, for instance, let's say the far right, right? And you're fighting with them and whatever, and you know what ground you make is the middle of you in the middle and the person on the far right. So it's like more of a middle right kind of position is where you end up falling in that debate. The idea of the Overton window is that you don't take the middle position when you're fighting somebody on the extreme right. You take the extreme left position, hoping that you can land in the middle, which is actually where you are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
There could be something like that kind of going on with some of these people. And I think that people don't understand this, that like content creators, like some of us are stupid. Don't get me wrong. But some of these people are pretty clever. They're pretty smart. They're in their position. They're in the position that they're in for a reason, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think we live, especially since we live in the age of propaganda. Like, I think like literally in the history books, they're going to call this age the age of propaganda because it's so perfectly like everything we have, you know, in terms of technology at the moment is kind of like geared up to that. I think that, like, I think it's kind of important for people to understand that, like social media people in general, I think do that a lot. Literally say a position that they don't believe just because they're hoping that it's going to be like land in more of a neutral position. I've done it. I'll just say it. I've done it. It works, and it works.
I don't want to say that I have or haven't. I don't, because I don't think I'm smart enough to do something like that.
Sometimes we do it. We don't even realize, and it's literally just because you're just playing devil's advocate, or you just float an idea like, oh well, hey, what if it's this? You know, it's just it's something to kind of like shock people. It's just like, oh, that is interesting. What would that be like? I think that's really helpful these days. It's just, but that's what I'm saying. People don't take things too seriously. Like realize that the algorithm is trying to make you hate people. It's literally trying to do that. It's literally trying to make you angry because that's what actually gets pumped in the algorithm. That's what like our human psyche has learned. I don't know why, but it's like it's the thing that makes us click buttons the most is anger. So if anything ever makes you angry, it's probably a good idea just to take a step back. And I should take this advice too, honestly.
Yeah.
Take a step back, take a good 5 minutes, take a breath, just reevaluate it. You know, do you really care? How much do you really care? Who gives a shit about Steven Crowder's bad take? Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up because I got to get to work. But before we get out of here, I just want to shout out a couple of things. So the Now Recording boys did a stream last night where they did the tier. Just learned this morning, because like I said, I couldn't stay up long enough, that Keemstar called in. So if you guys missed that, definitely make sure and check that out. Also,
we are, sorry, real quick. We are going to, Now Recording is going to put out a video today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, I believe is when it's going up. Okay. It is an interview with Jalen. We've been sitting on this for a minute now, but it's really good. It's really cool. So go watch that when it comes out.
All right. So you got a video dropping today as well. Okay. Cool deal. Also, the broadcast did a live stream yesterday where they were responding to my buddy D-Max's here video. D-Max actually put out a video, responding to their previous live stream.
Right.
And, so,
I heard it was well received. We were recording actually while they were doing that, so I didn't get to hear a lot of it.
Yeah,
but I called in afterwards.
There's
and
a lot of it. It's like
I met Lord Vega. Lord Vega's cool.
Lord Vega is very cool. He is a
He followed me on Twitter. I love it.
Did he? Yeah.
Yeah.
Vega's a cool dude. Vega is a if there is such a thing anymore as a man's man, Vega is a man's man. He is a war hero. He is, I mean, people, you know, guys like Tommy and Dave say, listen, you know, we're not, we served, we were in the military, but the shit that Vega and the group that he was with, he said, you know, they don't, you know, they really talk him up. I don't know what all Vega got into. I don't know what all he did. But to hear them talk about him, he's truly a man's man. If that's
he was cool. It was all good. He was just calling in just to kind of you know jive and razz.
Yeah, and he's extremely, extremely talented. He is very good at graphics and editing. He is something else.
Ooh, a fellow traveler.
Yes. But anyway, so check out Zyde's stream, or not Zyde's streams, the podcast stream. They did a thing. It's kind of where they react to a react type thing. It kind of gets into, you know, what was that movie?
Inception.
Inception. Yeah, it kind of gets a little bit Inception.
I thought about doing a reaction to their stream, but I'm like, this will just never stop
It
because
would
these
never-
girls,
yeah.
they'll just milk
Yeah.
me for content like nothing.
and you deserve to be milked. And of course, like I say,
It'd be a good milk too.
Yeah, and of course we got the now recording their stream last night. I'm gonna have to check that out. Xylee stepped up yesterday and covered for me, and coffee with Xylee evidently, but she said she wasn't doing that
an
anymore.
okay job.
I thought she did a very good job. I thought she did a really
She did
good
okay.
job.
It was just okay.
It was just okay. Oh boy.
It's just okay.
Okay. Well,
I love her. Xylee
yeah.
knows that.
Captain Poofers has put out a content cop on Ian or iDubbbz. I haven't watched it yet. I have seen little bits and pieces of it he shared with me. I think it is going to be just little bits and pieces of it is very good. So that's on my.
I love
that's
Captain
on my.
Poofers.
Yeah,
He's got some good editing chops too.
Yes, he does. He 100% does. So that's some stuff I'm gonna have to check out as well. Let's see what else have we got out here. Lord, now Tipster's still talking about outrage and new woke Miller Lite ad sparks outrage. Okay. So I don't know if it's the Bud Light thing or not. I don't know.
Oh, the Miller Lite thing is they made a commercial that was like, yeah, women, beer, women, yeah. And like conservatives went, ew, gross, girls.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyway, and then of course here's D-Max. He put out some content. It was a funny little video. I thought it was very good.
I tried to keep it as short as I can.
Yeah, it was good. I thought it was real good. Let's see.
Main channel stuff coming soon.
Yeah. And then of course Shockmouth, he's got a new one. I've got to check this out. Isaac Butterfield taken to Human Rights Commission. I'm gonna have to check that out as well.
God, don't support Mitch. Oh.
No, I like his Shockmouth news section, little segments. I think they're
yeah,
really good.
yeah. Well, that's good, but everything else he does is just terrible.
Well,
his live streams and his videos are pretty good, but everything else he does is just awful.
Yeah. Eva's video. Oh yeah, Eva.
Yeah, Eva. Yeah, good shout. Good shout.
Let's see here.
That's an Australian I can get behind.
Is that something you can?
In more ways than one.
Let's see.
What
is it at here? I'm trying to find. Never, just ignore me.
That's fine. I'm embarrassed that I said what I said. I hope it didn't come through.
I was trying to find Eva's video here because I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to her channel. I don't know why it wasn't coming up. But Eva put out a video here on Yanani Park. This chick here is something else. She's check this video out because she makes some statements that are just make you scratch your damn head.
Yeah.
But
and Eva's going to be with you later on today with Clear as Mud, right?
That is correct. Yes, that is 100% correct. Yes, we will be doing a live stream this evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Nice.
We got several topics we're going to be talking about that, and none of it's drama related. So there will be no,
a little bit of levity. All right.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Suck
That'd be
your own
great.
butthole. You're doing great.
Every time that comes in, every time, it just makes me laugh.
Let's see here. TFW. What does that mean? TFW.
The feels when.
Okay. Peepaw is sub to me now. I can't have my chaos enjoy tonight's sin house.
The feels when Peepaw is sub to me.
To me,
something.
I can't. I'm sub to a lot of people, and I do my best to watch everything that they put out. But
was that Slug?
I don't know. It says anonymous, so I don't know.
It was a hen house thing. I've never had a public ability to be able to say, like, I've never had like a public platform to say this. Slug, change the fucking name of the show. Fuck you. Like, I get it. You don't have to. You don't have to change the name of the show. Nobody owns it. But I'm just saying, like, just fucking change the name of the show, for God's sake. It's like stupid. It's just so stupid. Just like we all know why you did it. It's not cute. Change the name of the fucking show. I don't think anybody would have a problem with you doing an interview show like this. I think it's actually kind of an interesting, fun, cool, nice thing. But why the fuck you got to call it the hen house? Just call it something else.
It's like I told him. I said, quit picking on the low hanging fruit. That's what he's
Yeah,
doing. So,
because he tries to justify it by saying a slug in the hen house. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
yeah,
That's not an expression.
the
That's
snake.
nothing.
There's a snake in the hen house, but I don't think you want to be the
Yes,
snake.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it's like, why would you But you can do what you want, slug. I'm not, whatever. It's your rodeo. It's your monkey. So it's your circus. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
fucking. There's so many better names.
100%, 100%. But anyway, listen, I do got to get out of here. Make sure to check out these guys. Make sure, if you haven't, make sure you check out Clear as Mud. Like I said, we'll be going live. We got Eva, we've got Seth, and we got GG Hearts. I don't know if Banana's going to make it or not. I'll be there. It should be a good thing. And since Dave is going to be going out of town to New York this weekend, Friday night, we may just get a Peepaw After Dark.
Ooh.
So I haven't been able to do one of those in a while. So anyway, maybe we'll get a Peepaw After Dark. So
Decaf with Peepaw.
decaf with Peepaw. There you go.
You
All
should.
right.
That's what you should call it. Honestly, yeah.
Decaf because it's late at night, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Except I don't
Great,
drink.
Thanks for having me on.
Hey,
Oh,
no
you
problem.
don't.
No problem. You know I love you, Max, and I don't say that
Yeah.
lightly. Max and I go back a long time. We were in the trenches back in the day. Back in the
We're still in the trenches, buddy. What do you mean?
I don't feel like we're in the trenches much anymore. And
It varies week to week. I'll tell you.
so anyway, I'm
Listen,
sure
you tried to instigate a fucking commentary community
Whoa,
podcast war on the
whoa.
broadcast.
No,
So I don't even
sir.
want to hear it.
How did I do that?
You were in the chat. You were talking so much shit. Are you kidding me? You literally said something along the lines of, I want a war. You literally said that. I was recording at the time, but I was reading chat.
Did I say that? Oh.
You did. You did. I will go and look and find it if I have time and I'm not playing Zelda. I'm a little lazy right now. I can't help it.
I think a good little, a good, clean, fun little beef, whatever, trash talking. I think
Okay,
it's
so you're
good.
gonna walk it back now. So now you agree with me. Now you see the light. Huh?
I think it's good. I think a little beef every now and then is okay because I think it sparks, as long as it's in good fun and nobody takes it too serious,
Okay, so what names do you want to call Xylee then?
Well, I hear she is. I hear she's particularly, since I am the Peepaw.
Okay.
We do need a Meemaw or a Grandma.
Oh
and
no!
I know that in the past she has not been well receptive to that. But
beep, 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 beep. Sorry, I hear phone lines connecting. Beep, 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 beep. Wait. Twitter DMs are going out. Oh no, this is getting clipped. Uh-oh. You're in trouble, buddy.
Hey, listen, she got mad because I called her, alluded to her being the Meemaw of the internet. She got mad at me about that. And
yeah, she's going to be pissed, dude. What the fuck?
And I told her that I would never do that again. And I'm not. So guys, whatever you do,
come on.
do not refer to her as that because that upsets her.
So
And
you brought it up
Xylee
just to say that you shouldn't say that.
Exactly, because Xylee is
That's
a friend
the story
of mine.
you're going with?
100%. And since Xylee is a friend of mine, I would appreciate it if you guys wouldn't, call her, those type things.
Okay.
It's, she's sensitive about that stuff. So
yeah, it's don't. I agree. Don't do that. Badwick, knock it off.
Exactly.
Knock it off, Badwick.
Exactly. Badwick is threatening a expose on her. So
I think he's just doing it.
think so?
I told him, yes, Ceviche Pace Patavellum. It's if you want peace, prepare for war.
Exactly. Mixed signal. No, I'm not sending out mixed signals at all. Not at all. No, ma'am. No.
Kind of mixed signally.
There's a huge spider crawling behind the Yoda
Self-report.
poster. You know what? If there's a huge spider crawling behind the Yoda poster, I'm okay with that because he'll probably eat the bird that's flying around in here, or whatever, right? So
There's a bird?
no.
You're not very good at the improv thing.
I know.
You gotta say yes and. You gotta do
Yes,
like, yeah, there's a
yes,
bird.
and.
Oh my god, it's crazy. It's
Yes,
huge.
and yeah. And the
Yes,
bird
and
the
you
bird
just say
was,
yes and.
yes, and yes. So it's the spider's poster now. Exactly.
Get out of here, peepers. Get out of here.
I
Good
gotta
show.
get here.
Good show.
Listen, guys. Remember, keep your powder dry, and I will see you in the funny papers.